Hello, everybody, and welcome to this YouTube episode of the Richard and Dr. Ed Show. It's me, Dr. Ed here, and on this episode, I discuss, or we have a conversation with my friend and client, Russ, about his journey through back pain, which has been chronic and quite significant at times. So we discuss my approach, and we kind of give Richard an idea about where we come. The nice thing is that Richard taught his principles to me, and I've taught them to Russ, and they've allowed him to get out of pain. So it's a really nice story. I hope you enjoy it. And if you have any questions or want to reach out with your own back pain, feel free to do so. You can find Richard Aceves. You can find the Moved Academy if you're a coach and you want to learn about those techniques, or you can come find me, Dr. Dredcaddye. Enjoy.
What's up, guys? Today we are here with Russ. Russ, you did an assessment with Ed, if I'm not mistaken, and you've worked with him for a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I got introduced to Ed, I think it was about March last year, 2022.
But was it March? It was just before the movement ayahuasca, actually. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, by a mutual friend of ours, because I am a long-term sufferer of back pain. By that, I mean, I'm not like chronic pain all day, every day, but I've had some what I would call quite severe back injuries, herniated discs, bulging discs at times, sciatica. From the age of 19, I've had periods of extreme sort of back pain that have lasted months. And I guess like coming to my late 30s, I'd sort of, my biggest injury was when I was about 30. I was playing squash and just lunged for the shot at the front of the court. And it felt like somebody had sliced my back open. It literally felt like someone behind me. And I hadn't even realized what happened at first. I just thought somebody was behind me and slashed my lower back. Fell to the floor, and weirdly just felt like I needed to jump up again and stand up again. And I stood at the front of the court and just had to use the wall to kind of stabilize myself as much as I could. And I could instantly feel like the pain was going all the way down from my lower back to my big toe on my right hand side.
Okay.
And I would say that caused me many years of pain and trying to get back on track. There'd be periods where I was fine, but I was very weak. And whenever I would try to up the ante and with my fitness and getting, regaining some strength again, I would just get to a point where I would injure myself again. And it wouldn't be as severe, but it would be enough to make me back off. So I went, like I was proper yo-yoing with my strength and fitness for many years, and tried to get a bit of a hold of it in my late 30s. So when I was about 38, I sort of, right, I'm going to crack this now, and just started doing what I could. Started going back to a gym a little bit, but then, here we were like another 4 years of that, going back and forth, still not really happy, still not making any progress, until I got introduced to Ed last year by a mutual friend. And I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say it's changed my life.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So we'll get into how Ed approached the assessment and everything of that sort, but I want to start with, what was your mentality, your mindset, your emotions, and willingness to go see Ed, from hearing it as a referral from a friend saying, hey, you have to go see this doctor that wears glasses and enjoys the sunshine a bit too much.
Yeah. Do you mean my sort of mindset and emotion before I met, or what caused me to kind of?
Yeah, so I mean, it's a long struggle, right? And that's something that I feel like the psychology of maybe it's, you don't consider it chronic, but if somebody from the outside was looking, it'd be a chronic nonstop issue, right? Like it's something that's taking you away from performing on a daily basis. So kind of what was your mindset of searching for help and your willingness for searching for help? And also what was the mindset once you went to go see Ed? Was it like it was willingness, but not really being extremely hopeful, or were you very, very hopeful, or you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure. I suppose my main driving emotion at that point was just pure frustration with my body, and feeling like even the simplest of tasks, lifting, like I'm a musician, I play music, I'm a bass player, I have to lug a bass amp into gigs and upstairs at times and into the car at the end of the night. And I actually gave up playing music for a long time, like a good few years, because it was just ruining my back. I would go to a gig, I would be in pain if I'd lifted my amp into the car in the wrong way. I'd be in pain during the gig, I'd be in pain after the gig, and I have to go through a sort of recovery period. Yeah, it was just not fun. It got to the point where I just gave up playing, and I've played since I was 15, and that was yeah. So I guess frustration really is what drove me to start trying to strengthen myself again. And then when I chatted to my friend Pete, who's a hockey player, he'd said, Pete's someone that, as an aside, Pete's someone that I hadn't seen for many years.
Okay.
We'd worked together quite a few years ago. We ended up randomly just sort of getting back in touch when he moved back to the town that we live in now. And we went out for a drink and we got chatting. And I guess I was at a point where I was like offloading a little bit about my frustrations about, my fitness and strength and back pain. And he literally said, well, I think I know someone that might be able to help you. He's really helped me recently with my elbow injury that I sort of got through hockey. Would you like me to introduce you? And I was like, mate, I would try anything, because I've tried, I've done everything. I've had physio via the NHS, I've had private physio, I've done chiropractors, I've done osteopaths, all at various different points. I've, tried massage, whatever it is. I've tried a lot to get back on track, really, and nothing had worked long term for me. So I was like, yep, no, I'll try it, mate. If he's helped you and seems to be helping you quite quickly, I'll give it a go. And I was very open. I think when I came to Ed, I was very open to trying something. So
yeah, having the experience was yeah, having open-minded and just the wishful golden ticket, right?
yeah.
If you will. Something that can work.
Yeah.
Nice. Ed, do you want to walk a little bit through the process of meeting Russ and what was going through your head?
Yeah, I always like when people say that they've been to everybody else. They've been to the physios and they've been to osteopaths and chiros, and then they go to the best surgeon in the country, and then the surgeon says, there's probably not.
Russ, we try to be humble, but sometimes our ego does our head does need to get a little bigger,
Absolutely. Don't worry, I'll bring you down again at some point, Ed.
Yeah, we just need to make sure that we're not crazy. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first part of the assessment, I mean, we always do a history, which obviously I learned from you, Richard. And I think even going through the history, Russ kind of recounted each of the injuries and maybe remembered things that he hadn't even been thinking about from the past. That's always interesting, even for me, when I kind of reflect back on my own journey with back pain. There's little things that you kind of have stored away, and then when somebody actually asks you the questions, you kind of pick things up as you go through. And I can't actually remember how much we discussed in the assessment of you having quit certain things. I know you were kind of going in and out of trying to get back to training, but I don't think we discussed the fact that you'd kind of quit playing music, which was obviously a big thing for you. And I asked you at the start of the assessment kind of what your goal was for the assessment and what would you want to go away being able to do. And you'd said that you're a videographer and you play music. So for me, it was, can I teach you something in the assessment that you can go away and use whenever you pick something up off the floor or carry something, and hopefully then in learning a different movement pattern, then you can kind of go away and improve without my help, which is essentially what happened. But I think you said you'd be happy to pick, was it 15 or 20 kilos off the floor? I can't remember the number.
Yeah, it was 20 because the amp that I had to buy, which is a particular brand, is known for making lightweight bass amps, and I knew that it was around about 20 kilos, my bass amps. So I wanted to be able to feel like I could lift that in and out of the car from ground and move it around safely and not risk doing my back in when I'm doing a gig or a rehearsal or something. So.
Yeah, so that was in the back of my mind. And I don't remember, that was the last thing we did. We finished with that as our win. And I think we got up to 30 kilos, if not more.
It was definitely more than the 20. I can't remember exact weight, but yeah, I was really surprised at what I could lift during that 2-hour session or at the end of it.
Yeah, so it was gosh, it's so long ago. I'm trying to even remember the exercise. You probably remember better than I did. But obviously, we started with the oblique opener, which you've used and really taken under your belt, and apply it whenever kind of the back gets sore again, and that with the psoas raises as well. Yep. Kind of are your, as Rich said, the golden ticket to when the back's really bad. You just add those in, and it takes the sting out of it. And you'll have to remind me if we did anything else on top of those two.
Yeah, we did more than that. But yeah, particularly those are definitely my go-tos now, particularly the psoas raises. I really like glute bridge. That was one that's my go-to now. Whether we did that in the assessment or not, I can't quite remember, but we definitely did the oblique openers, definitely did psoas raises. We did sandbag drags, or I don't know what the flip.
Oh yeah, ones. The flipping them over.
The flips, yeah,
we did those. I can't quite remember if we did anything more than that exercise.
You should stop there, because otherwise I have to lay into Ed for making the assessment too complex.
I don't think there was so much. I mean, for me, once we got past the flips and they didn't cause any pain, and I think you got hamstring either pumps or cramps by that point, and then we did the hinge work to finish as a win. I knew once we'd done the hinging without any pain, then we were on for a long-term win. I could feel it. And the beauty of you living locally is that you've been coming to my kind of small group training every week or most weeks. And we've been able to kind of build all the way up from there. And two things. So I think when you came to see me, you were planning to landscape your garden, but hadn't kind of got around to thinking about how that was actually going to happen logistically. And kind of, I think it was in the summer, so it would have been July, August. We lifted, I think it was 50 kilo railway sleepers into Russ's garden together, and he had no back pain after.
It was 100. It was 100 sleepers we lifted, yeah.
So that was a good workout for me, at least. and then your partner, your wife, has always been a keen skier, and you were never keen to go yourself, and only in the last couple of months did you join her on a ski trip for the first time. And again, we had a plan going into it, and the back managed to hold up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the wins for me last year were what you've mentioned, but prior to having to lift 150 kilo sleepers with the help of Ed, from the front of my garden to the back of my garden, which I don't have side access, so it had to go through my neighbor's garden and stuff like that. That was in itself, on the hottest day of the year last year, was a pretty, great achievement. But prior to that, for about, I don't know, 2 months, I'd been digging a hole. I've been basically digging a third of
So
my
hard
garden.
labor.
Yeah, like most nights I would go out and do minimum of 2 hours. Sometimes on the weekends I'd be doing longer. The soil in my garden's clay, so
Okay.
when it's dry it's really hard to break, and when it's wet it's really heavy. So
There's no winning.
there's no win there.
That feels like a very English way. There is just no fucking winning. It's hard and brutal no matter what.
Yeah. But that in itself was just something that I wouldn't have attempted before going to Ed's classes. I just couldn't visualize bending over, lifting, chucking weight, carrying stuff. It was a broken pond, like a filled-in pond, like a raised pond that we inherited when we moved in, which was, concrete. It's full of pea shingle, it's full of hardcore, and I smashed that to bits with a sledgehammer, and I carried the hardcore out of my garden to my car and took it to the tip. I mean, I must have done 20 tip runs.
Nice.
Got rid of all that frustration in the body.
Yeah. I mean, all these things that I'm talking about, like, I would have expected to have done before.
That's amazing. And so just remind everybody again, so currently you have bulging discs, you have herniations. What's going on structurally in the spine?
Well, currently I don't have any issues.
No, there's no issues, but you were diagnosed, so you went to go see doctors, and they said that you had bulging discs, right?
Herniated disc.
Herniated discs. So
yeah, same thing.
right. So it's always an interesting conversation to have, right? That because people think of this sort of, you've been labeled with this symptom, with this issue, and the only way to get rid of it is either through cortisone shots, through shaving of the bone, any sort of very aggressive surgery. So the fact that it was just being through movement and proper activation of muscles, being able to get rid of the pain, and not only get rid of the pain, but also allow you to be active through physical labor is the biggest win. You know what I mean? Like there's no other way. I don't know. It's a fucking mind-blowing thing. Like if I were to, like, when I had my hip broken and the doctor told me, listen, dude, you can't walk, you can't do this, you can't do that. And now you start to change that mindset. So for me, it's, you went from somebody that was labeled as sort of broken or injured, and the only way out was through surgery or through a very aggressive or non-physical, implement. And now you're at a point where you're able to be very, very active.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the like, walk us through that mindset shift.
I think it would be a good, I mean, Russ always says to people who come new to the group, he says, whatever you've ever been told, don't believe it, and just trust what Ed has to say and do it, even if you think it's the worst thing for your back or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I would always say, whatever you've been told about the right way to do things, like, bending your knees when you're picking something up, or don't bend your back, or any of those sort of myths that, not myths, but those, I guess, rules that people say you must do when you're lifting or something like that. Just forget all that. And he'll teach you a different way, which you will expect not to work because it goes against everything you've known before. But it does. It's a very strange and interesting experience.
And was that mind shift immediately in the session, or did that take you time to build trust with Ed?
It was pretty immediate, I think, because I felt I think I must have had some element of back pain or soreness when I went to the assessment. So to come out of a 2-hour assessment feeling some relief from that, and not only slight relief but progress in what I could do, he immediately had my trust at that point. And as I say, I came in quite open-minded. I'm happy to, for this guy to try and help me. And I was sold within that first assessment, if I'm honest. So that's what really spurred me on to attend the classes. Ed said, you can come along to my classes. I think gave me a few sessions free, just to kind of tempt me in, I guess. And going to the classes on Sundays. I mean, Sunday morning training's a commitment in itself, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
I have to, not drink as much on a Saturday, and I have to, I'm not someone who likes training on empty, so I have to get up 2 hours early and eat before I go to training every Sunday now. And that in itself, I think, is a commitment. But then to be put through the sorts of exercises that we do on a Sunday is, something I was surprised at what I could do. And I always say this, and I say this to new people as well, like I'm always amazed at what I can achieve in those sessions. So yeah, being very open and Ed earning my trust quite quickly really fueled me to, like, right, I can capitalize on this, and I'm going to commit to that. I'm going to commit to the Sunday mornings, excuse me, and I'm going to do what he tells me to, because I think it's going to work for me. Yeah.
I dig it. So you're back to playing music, I hope.
Yeah, very much, more than ever, actually. Yeah,
I dig it. This is, I mean, it's a beautiful, it's a beautiful encompassment. And that I'm mixing my Spanish and my English. I've had wine tonight, dude. I want to be honest with you guys. I fly early tomorrow to Sweden to go to an assessment and to work with 2 people for 3 days. So it's my Friday with my wife. So we had some delicious wine from Italy. But it's a beautiful way to show people, and I hope that people listening are actually understanding that you could be diagnosed with severe issues, and there's still a very simple but not easy way out of it. And there's a way for people to gain back their performance and continue to do what they're loving to do without needing to go through, under the knife and through extreme things, right? Like that was the beauty of the assessment, and what Ed is able to apply with people that he works with is that it's just so simple, and it's effective immediately. And it's not just immediately and then you go home and it sucks again, like a lot of things that we've tried, right? It works, and as soon as it starts to work, it just keeps working and working and working, and we can add stress to it to the point where you're shoveling out your backyard and doing things that you never thought you'd be doing.
yeah,
It's amazing.
yeah. And just to go back to one of the things you said there, like being labeled as someone that has this condition. I remember a friend saying to me, who's also a musician, we were in a band together, and saying to me after I'd come back after a period of not playing or something like that, or missing a gig as a result of back pain and stuff, he said, "Oh, you'll never be the same again. And that really stuck with me, that I was like, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to do these things again, or ski. And going, I mean, the ski thing that Ed brought up, the ski trip this year with my wife skied for, since she studied in her 20s, so 25 years she's
Wow.
she's skied for, but hasn't skied a lot since we've been together. So we've been together 13 years, and I always felt bad that I was kind of holding her back from that thing that she loved so much and used to do a lot when she was younger. And she's always said, I'd love to take you skiing. And I was always just like, there's no way I can ski. I'm never going to be able to do that. My back is too fragile. I'll never be strong enough, blah, blah, blah. And this year I skied in Austria for the first time ever, and I'm 42. And
That's amazing.
I was just like, I was actually, I think it was the third day we were in. I'm man enough to admit I broke down because I'd sort of cracked the ability to ski and turn and kind of enjoy it rather than just fall on my face the whole time.
Right.
And I was sort of literally overcome with emotion that day, because I achieved what I needed to achieve, and I was happy with it. And
Fucking beautiful.
I was falling over like a lot, and even the falling over, I was like, oh God, I'm going to dislocate my back again.
Yeah, get the medics, man.
Yeah. I was scared. You're so scared of falling over, but I was able to fall over and get back up and do it more and improve on the skiing and stuff like that. And it was actually a really emotional trip for that reason.
Yeah, man, that's amazing.
So yeah, something, again, I think that's probably the best example of something I thought I would never be able to do. So I didn't ski when I was younger. Never skied before in my life. 20 years of back pain on and off. I turned 42, went skiing for the first time, and came back in one piece. Yeah,
that's fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
And not having to lay on the couch for 3 weeks to try and recover, right?
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I was sore every night, and the DOMs were incredible, but
Yeah.
it was
But the back was good.
The back was good,
Even then, I mean, I'll say, like, having learned the principles of movement from Rich, and hopefully I've passed on a few of those to you. Like, when you went skiing, you asked me, is there anything you would recommend or do, or like have as a warm up or a cool down? And I mean, I've never skied properly before as well, but I knew that over time you'd have to be taking more weight in your quads, and the VMOs would probably get fatigued, and it would go to the outside quads, and eventually there might be a potential that the back starts to get a bit stiff and sore. And you kept a hold of those muscles. You did a little warm up, I think, before your skiing sessions, and then when you came back, you added in a bit of cycling to get the movement back into the hips, and then we kind of kept on top of it like that. So for me, it's keeping these principles in mind, and it just allows you to adapt and overcome in whatever the situation is. I will remove the rose-tinted spectacles and be transparent in that your bicep or your forearm's been a bit sore for a while from getting back to playing guitar, which is something new for you. So you're a bass player, but you're playing with the guitar now, which is a bit wider. So there's always more things to play with and work out and tinker with, but that's also part of the fun and the journey. But yeah, I thought it'd be nice to have you on, because you're almost a perfect straight A student of mine.
Thanks, Teach.
When you put in the work, it pays off.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think I think that's a good point that Ed's brought up, actually, that I'm by no means the perfect physical specimen now. I still get back aches and soreness. I've got a bit of an issue with my right forearm and bicep. For some reason we haven't figured out yet together how to quite overcome it. So I've overcome it at times, but we're still working with that. But I think importantly, what Ed's taught me is to recognize when those symptoms or those weaknesses are coming on. And he's given me the tools and the exercise and the mindset actually to almost navigate that myself at home without having to WhatsApp Ed, and say, oh, my back hurts, what shall I do? I can mitigate that myself now. And I've got ways of picking that up at various levels by using the exercises that Ed's taught me, so I think that's an important thing, really. I say, if anyone's listening, it's not about Ed healing me, it's about him giving me the tools that I know to use at the right time, in order to maintain my lifestyle in a physical way.
And that's the beauty of having a proper mentor, right?
For sure.
They're not just feeding you, they're teaching you how to cook. They're showing you that, hey, when you're hungry, you turn on the fire and you do this, and it's gonna get better. You're gonna have some food soon. You know what I mean? And life is never extremely balanced. For us to think that, we're going to go through life without pains and aches is a load of bullshit, and it's just it's a fallacy, right? It doesn't happen. Especially when we want to be very good at what we're doing, whether it's playing music, whether it's having the perfect yard. Like, it takes hard work. Like, things get overworked because hard work is always required, and the earth is not soft and gentle and telling you that you're gonna be perfect. So overworking things and having to go from here and there, and having little niggles is different to having to deal with constant pain, and more importantly, having to deal with the insecurity that your back's going to blow up and you're going to have to be in bed for the next 3 weeks, or afraid to touch your knees because your back's going to spasm. You're going to have like that weird sound, like somebody just shoved a dildo up your butt. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you ever had those. I've had those.
I mean, I'll take your word for that, Rich.
You know what I mean? So it's
That's when the wine is there.
But it's that it's the capacity to give you the tools to have the confidence that you're allowed to push your own limits, that allows you to have the freedom to perform the tasks that are a little bit emotionally over the top, because you're doing things that you haven't done in as many years, 12 years with your wife, and going skiing and being able to do that and not have to lay on the bed because of nerve pain and numbness to the legs. I mean, yeah, there's soreness in the glutes, the hamstrings, the obliques, and everywhere else in the body, but you can move around. It's just they're sore because the muscles are used.
Yeah.
It's a big difference. It's huge.
Yeah, I'd say to people, and I'm not exaggerating when I say it's been a life-changing experience for me in the last year to train with Ed, and I'm very grateful for that. So thank you.
Well, I'm grateful for the trust, and also grateful for you coming on the podcast with significant amounts of notice.
Yeah, no, happy to help.
Well, I don't think there's much more to talk about, because I feel too proud, if anything. So yeah,
it's perfect. I'm just super excited that you got to help Russ. I was somehow involved or not involved. I'm just excited that it's all working out, guys.
Well, Russ is excited to do a full. So this is one point. So after the movement ayahuasca, I put a few people on the weekend through a few rounds of what the gauntlet was.
Ah, beautiful.
And this was fairly early on. Like I said, we only just met before movement ayahuasca, and I forced. Well, I don't know if forced is the right word, but I wrote the full workout.
You programmed.
And I think Russ was doing double kettlebell swings with 12 kilos in each hand, and then dropped it to 8 maybe.
Yeah.
after a few reps, but they were super tentative reps initially, and there was like very little extension, but you knew that you could move within a safe range, and I there was no cueing or anything from me, and I stopped it deliberately after 2 or 3 rounds. I can't remember how many, but you'd accumulated 300 reps of kettlebell swings and bicep curls and all of the other things that were in the gauntlet. And that was actually a big moment as well, I think, is just like the sheer volume and the next day not having any significant issues and DOMs in all of the right places. So Russ is still game for the full gauntlet at some point. Rich.
Oh, for sure. We'll make it happen. Maybe we'll do something in September.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
It'll be a fun one.
One of my plans later on in the year with one of the guys that trains on Sunday is to do an obstacle course race. Like it's called the Nuts Challenge, and it's like a 7K obstacle course race, and the plan is to do a couple of laps of that for the first time. Again, something I've never done before, but something I feel I can challenge myself to do safely and enjoy. So that's the next thing to think about for September.
Nice.
Yeah,
I love it. That's gonna have his hands busy.
I said I'm not joining because I don't like getting muddy.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you won't join. It's a shame.
That would be my first of the multiple excuses that I have to not want to do that challenge.
Come on, guys.
We'll see. Is there beer along the way, or is there like anything fun along the way, or is it just like see, you're stalling. I'm gonna be the girlfriend in this situation. You're stalling with your answer.
If you want to take a beer on the way around, I mean, I don't think anyone will stop you.
That could be kind of fun. Maybe we hide the old beers along the way.
Yeah, maybe.
I love it, guys. Well, thank you very much for coming on, Russ. Mr. Ed, keep doing the good work that you're doing. And yeah, keep on listening, guys. Make sure to follow us on Dr. Ed Caddy, Rare Barracuda. Russ, is there anywhere you want people to find you? Any good gigs coming up that you got going on in the UK?
Not well, I've got bits and pieces of gigs here and there, but yeah, hopefully an original project starting off later in the year, which I'm working towards. So yeah,
beautiful.
Maybe
we'll keep us posted and we'll share them out.
And you have a videography business if people in the UK listen to this and they want videos made.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I make videos, promo videos, charity videos, all sorts of things. Yeah, if people want to get in touch, that's cool. 325 Productions UK.
Beautiful. Do you want to come to Amsterdam?
I'd love to.
Beautiful. We'll chat after the podcast, man. I dig it. Well, thank you very much, guys. And we'll talk to you guys, and we'll have you guys listen on the next call.
If you have back pain, get in touch.
Absolutely.